I destroyed my son's project and grounded him for a year, because I trusted his bullies over him. When he demanded an apology, I called him disrespectful and took even more away. Now he's moved out, everyone's calling me a monster, and I don't know how to fix it. For some context, I've got 2 kids in the house, Connor, who's my youngest, 17, and Harris, 23M, my stepson from my wife Paige's previous marriage. Harris is respectful, polite, actually talks to me, helps around the house without being told, and has his head on straight. He just got promoted at work, and I couldn't be prouder. Connor, on the other hand, has turned into this moody, secretive, ungrateful kid who thinks he's better than everyone. He barely speaks unless it's to correct someone or make some smart comment about logic or science. He spends almost every hour in the garage building weird contraptions, drones, robots, little gadgets that make noise. Half the time it looks like a junkyard in there. When I try to get him to spend time with the family or come out to eat dinner, he acts like I'm disturbing some world-changing experiment. I get that kids have hobbies, but there's a line between passion and obsession. Paige thinks it's amazing and productive. She says he's gifted and I should be supportive. I don't have anything against ambition, but when your kid starts thinking he's smarter than the people who raised him, that's when you need to bring him down a peg. Anyway, a few months ago, Connor entered some kind of regional robotics expo or contest. Apparently he'd been working on this solar drone thing for months. I didn't think much of it, he's always tinkering with something. The only reason I even knew was because he asked for extra garage space and some tools I didn't think he needed. I helped him pay for a few supplies because I do support him in my own way, but that doesn't seem to count for anything. Now here's where the issue started. A couple of guys I work with, Mike and Rob, have kids around Connor's age, Kyle and Patrick. Good kids, always polite when they've been around. They told me Connor was at the same expo and apparently caused a scene. They said their boys told them Connor sabotaged their project somehow, messed with their wiring or something, then mocked them about it. They showed me a photo of their half-broken display and said Connor laughed and called it an amateur mistake. I can't tell you how embarrassed I was. These are my co-workers. I've spent years building a reputation at work for being reliable, the type of man who raises his kids right. And now they're joking about my son being some arrogant brat who ruins other people's work. I felt like an idiot. So when I got home, I asked Connor straight out what happened. He got defensive immediately. Said he didn't do anything, that Kyle and Patrick were lying. Didn't even look sorry or anything, just frustrated. I told him I already heard from other people what happened, and instead of owning up, he started crying and yelling that I never believe him. That set me off. I told him if he wanted to act like a man, he'd take responsibility. He just kept denying it, so I went into the garage and saw his drone sitting there on the table. All I could think about was those kids' ruined project and my co-workers laughing behind my back. So yeah, I picked it up and smashed it on the floor. He just froze. Then he tried to grab the pieces, and I told him to stop pretending to be the victim. I said, "You think being smart gives you the right to disrespect people? Maybe now you'll learn some humility." I grounded him for a year. No electronics, no internet, no competitions, no social outings. Paige screamed at me about it, said I was overreacting. She said Connor's been bullied before and that those boys probably set him up, but I told her not to make excuses for him. If I start letting him think the world's out to get him every time he messes up, he'll never take accountability. Harris even told me he thought I went too far, which honestly surprised me because I thought he understood what respect meant. Anyway, it's been about 2 months since that happened. Connor's barely spoken to me. He eats quietly, does his chores, goes to school, and stays in his room. I told him he could apologize to Kyle and Patrick to clear things up, but he refused. He actually had the nerve to tell me that I owed him an apology for destroying something he worked on for months. That was it for me. I told him he doesn't talk to me like that in my house, and if he wants to be treated like an adult, he can start by learning respect. I added another month to his grounding and took his laptop since he clearly wasn't learning his lesson. Paige says he's been shutting down and that I'm making it worse. I don't think so. I think I'm finally showing him consequences. She acts like I'm some kind of monster because I won't coddle him. I grew up with a father who didn't let me talk back or act like I was smarter than him, and I turned out just fine. Kids these days think they can get away with anything as long as they cry hard enough. But now everyone's acting like I'm the villain. My sister called me a tyrant and said she wouldn't have let her husband do that to her kid. Even Harris has been distant lately, like he's taking their side. I feel like I'm the only one in this family who still has a sense of order. Update 1. When I first wrote about grounding my son, Connor, after I destroyed that drone thing he made, I honestly didn't expect people to go crazy about it or call me abusive, but apparently that's what Reddit thinks now. It's been about a month since everything went down. Connor still hasn't said a single word to me. He just walks around like a ghost in my own house. He does chores, eats, then goes straight back to that empty room of his. He doesn't even sleep in his bed half the time. I caught him once sleeping on the floor because he said the springs were messed up, but I know he's just being dramatic because I told him he was lucky to even have a bed after how he acted. Paige, my wife, has been on my case ever since, saying I'm pushing him away. But what she doesn't get is that Connor's been distant long before this. He's never acted like a normal kid, never wanted to throw a ball around, never came to watch the games, always hiding in the garage building those weird robots instead of spending time with me. I tried being patient, I really did, but every time I looked at him, I just felt cold, I guess. I haven't told anyone this before, but I might as well get it out. Connor isn't biologically mine. I found that out when he was about 2, back when me and Paige were still figuring things out. She cheated one time, or at least that's what she told me, and swore it was a mistake, said it was some guy from her old office, that it meant nothing. I told her I'd forgive her, but we'd never speak about it again. I guess I thought I could pretend, but you can't really pretend something like that away. When Connor got older, started looking less like me and more like whoever that guy was, I couldn't unsee it. Same eyes, same damn smirk, the one that made me feel like the punchline of someone else's joke. So yeah, I raised him, fed him, paid for his school, his clothes, his hobbies, everything, but it always felt like I was babysitting someone else's kid. And the thing is, I never treated him differently, not really. Maybe I was harder on him sometimes, but that's because I didn't want him growing up entitled. I also found one of his notebooks. I know I shouldn't have read it, but I did. He'd written all kinds of garbage in there about how he hates living here, how he wishes his mom had left me, how I ruin everything I touch. He even wrote that he wishes he could live with someone who actually loves him. I didn't say anything at first, but later that night, I brought it into the kitchen and burned it in the sink right in front of him. I told him that if he wants to write lies about me, he can do it somewhere else. Paige lost it over that. Said I'd gone too far, said I was destroying him. But I'm sick of being painted like the villain just for trying to raise some discipline. Every time I try to set boundaries, I'm the bad guy. Every time he ignores me, she jumps to defend him. It's like she's forgotten how we even got here in the first place, how she's the reason he's even in this house, with that face that isn't mine. Update 2. I thought this would all calm down. I thought once Connor cooled off and realized what he'd done, he'd come back around like a normal kid would. When Connor left, it wasn't even a big argument that day, just a stupid breakfast thing. He came down late, didn't say good morning, and I asked if he planned on keeping up the attitude forever. I just wanted him to learn some respect. So I told him he could drop the act or pack up and leave if he didn't like my rules. I didn't expect him to actually do it. He went upstairs, grabbed his backpack, stuffed some clothes in it, and said he was done. Paige chased after him crying, but I didn't stop him. I thought he'd walk around the block and come back once he cooled down. He didn't. He never came back that night. Or the next. The first day, Paige wouldn't even talk to me. Second day, she started calling everyone Harris, her sister, even the police. They told her he was legally old enough to leave since he was almost 18. I kept telling her he'd show up soon, but every hour that passed, she just stared at me like I'd killed someone. About a week later, she came into the living room with this look on her face I'll never forget. She said she knew where he was. He's staying with his robotics coach. Apparently, the coach called her to ensure that Connor was safe. I told her to tell him to send Connor home, but she said Connor didn't want to come back. That's when she started yelling, said I broke him, said he was terrified of me. I told her that was ridiculous, that she was just being dramatic, and she started crying harder. I found out later that the school had some kind of meeting about what happened at the expo. The coach and another teacher apparently dug into the situation, and it turned out those kids, Kyle and Patrick, were lying the whole time. They switched the project labels and made it look like Connor sabotaged theirs. They even had video clips that were edited to frame him. So the truth is, Connor was innocent. Paige didn't even tell me herself. I had to find out from my coworker. He said it got around at work because Kyle's dad admitted it after the school called him. So now everyone knows that I smashed my son's project and punished him for something he didn't do. The same coworkers who used to joke about my troublemaker kid are now laughing behind my back. One of the supervisors even pulled me aside and said, maybe I should take some personal time. I tried to call Connor. He won't answer. I left messages, told him I wanted to talk, that we could figure this out. Nothing. I even went down to the school after work, hoping I could catch him coming out of a meeting or something. When I saw him, he looked right at me and then turned the other way, like I wasn't even there. The coach came over and told me I needed to leave before he called security. I said I just wanted to talk to my son. He said Connor didn't want to see me. I couldn't believe it. After everything I've done for that kid, I drove home shaking. Paige was gone when I got there. She left a note saying she was staying with her sister for a while, that she couldn't stand being under the same roof as me anymore. She took her clothes, some photos, and even Harris's old guitar that used to sit in the living room. The house hasn't been the same since. I've tried calling her too, but she won't pick up. Harris sent me a text saying she doesn't want to talk and that I need to stay away. He told me to get help. Update 3. It's been a few months and now I've found out Paige is pregnant. Not by me. Apparently, she's been seeing some guy from her sister's church. I didn't even know she was the type to hang around church people, but I guess they helped her through a hard time or whatever. That's what her sister told me when I showed up there last week to try and talk to Paige. She refused to come outside and her sister stood by the door saying they don't want any problems. That's when I noticed her stomach. Not huge, but noticeable enough that it was clear. I asked if it was mine and her sister just said, "You know it's not." It's like everything's repeating itself. First time she got pregnant with Connor, she said it was a mistake, a one-time thing with some coworker she swore meant nothing. I forgave her back then because I didn't want to look like a fool leaving my wife over something that people said could be worked through. Now years later, she's doing the same thing again, except this time she didn't even bother to hide it. I don't know if she's doing this out of spite or just because she knows I can't do anything about it. Everyone already sees me as the bad guy after what happened with Connor. People at work still bring it up behind my back. They think I don't hear them calling me the dad who smashed his kid's invention. Even my boss basically demoted me, said it's for the good of morale. I barely talk to anyone outside work anymore. Now Paige is walking around pretending like she's some poor victim who had to escape an abusive husband. She's got everyone feeling sorry for her. Even my stepson Harris, who I helped raise, is calling me a sick freak and telling people I ruined the family. The same Harris who didn't have a job until I got him one at my plant. That's the thanks I get. I tried to see Paige again this week to get answers, but she wouldn't talk. I sat outside her sister's house for 2 hours, hoping she'd at least come out. But instead, some guy pulled up in a truck and went inside. I saw him through the window hugging her. He looked younger, maybe late 30s. That's when it hit me that she's been moving on while I'm still here picking up the pieces. I left a note on her car telling her that we need to talk and that she owes me an explanation. I wasn't rude. I didn't threaten her or anything. I just said that it's not fair for her to act like I never existed. She filed a restraining order the next day. I found out from a cop who showed up at my door with the papers. Said I can't contact her directly anymore. Can't go near her work, her sister's house, or Connor's school. And I didn't even know Connor was still in touch with her, but apparently he's the one who drove her to court that day. The cop mentioned his name when explaining the paperwork, so now my own son's helping his mother keep me away from them. He's probably proud of it too. I started going to anger management classes because the court made me. Most of the guys there are younger bar fights, road rage, stupid stuff like that. They talk about healing and self-control. I mostly just sit in the back and listen. They say I have to admit I'm wrong before I can get better. But the thing is, I'm not even sure what wrong means anymore. Everyone keeps acting like I'm the only one who's ever been pushed too far. Paige cheated twice. She gave birth to another man's kid the first time, and I still stayed. I worked, paid bills, kept the roof over everyone's head, and tried to raise that boy as mine. And what did it get me? Humiliation. Everyone turned on me for one mistake when I destroyed that stupid project. They don't care what led up to it or how much disrespect I took for years. I don't hate Connor. I just don't see how I'm the villain when I gave him everything I could. He's not starving, he's not on the streets, and I didn't abandon him like his real father did. I tried to teach him how to be a man, but he always looked at me like I was the problem. Now he's helping his mother start another family with some guy she met at church. Maybe he'll be the perfect dad she always wanted. Final update. It's been a little over 2 years. I now work maintenance at a local community center. It's not what I used to do, but it pays enough, and the hours keep me busy. I mostly fix light fixtures, unclog drains, and sweep floors after events. Nothing fancy, but at least it's quiet. I keep to myself, and nobody bothers me. That's how I like it. Last Wednesday, the center hosted some sort of youth engineering workshop. I didn't know the details, I just knew I had to set up chairs and clean the multi-purpose room when it was done. Around noon, while checking the schedule taped to the supply door, I noticed a name printed near the bottom of the flyer. Guest speaker, Connor, different last name. At first, it didn't click. That last name isn't even my last name anymore. My ex-wife changed Connor's after the divorce. But when I saw the small headshot beside it, him, older, standing in front of some kind of robot, I felt something in my chest drop. I hadn't seen him in person since the restraining order and the day at the school. I'd seen a few pictures online when people at work used to show me that local prodigy kid who built a solar drone, before realizing who he was. But I hadn't seen him move, speak, or exist anywhere near me for years. I didn't plan on watching. I told myself I'd just finish up and leave before the event started. But I stayed. I don't even know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe guilt, maybe something else. When he came in, I barely recognized him. He's taller now, broader in the shoulders, his hair longer and tied back. He looked calm, steady, comfortable in his own skin in a way I never saw before. He smiled when he spoke to people. Not forced or nervous, just naturally. He had a quiet confidence that filled the room without needing to prove anything. I stood in the back corner by the door pretending to adjust a mop bucket, but I couldn't look away. He talked to the kids about failure, about how sometimes what feels like destruction is actually a turning point. He said when he was younger, he lost something he worked on for months, but learned how to rebuild it stronger. He didn't go into details, but I knew exactly what he meant. Every sentence felt like a jab in my ribs, but he never said a single cruel thing. Not about me. Not even close. He just kept talking about how you can turn pain into progress. At one point, a kid asked him how he got into robotics, and he said something like, "I started building to escape noise. Now I build to make something quieter." Everyone laughed a little, not knowing how literal that was. When the workshop ended, people clapped. Parents came up to shake his hand. He smiled, took photos with some of the kids, and packed up his things. I waited until the room was almost empty before stepping out from behind the supply shelf. He was walking toward the exit, holding a box of wires and small parts. He passed me once, close enough that I could smell that same detergent Paige used to buy. He didn't look at me. Then, for a split second, his eyes flicked my way, just a brief glance, like someone scanning the room. His expression didn't change. He didn't freeze, didn't frown, didn't smile. Nothing. Just kept walking out the door. That's what got me. Not anger, not disgust, not even recognition. Just nothing, like I was a stranger he passed on the street. After he left, I went to the bathroom and sat there for 20 minutes staring at the floor. My hands were shaking, but not from rage this time. I don't know what it was. Maybe realization, maybe just age catching up with me. I've told myself for years that I did what I did because of respect, that I was teaching him discipline, that I was making him stronger, but watching him stand there, confident and kind, while I hid in a janitor's closet, made me realize something I didn't want to face. He didn't need me to make him strong. He got there in spite of me. When Paige cheated all those years ago and got pregnant, I told myself I forgave her, but I didn't. Every time I looked at that kid, I saw the man she betrayed me with. Every good thing Connor did reminded me that someone else had given her something I couldn't, so I took it out on him in ways I justified as discipline. Every eye roll became disrespect. Every success became arrogance. And when those boys lied about him, I didn't see my son being bullied. I saw proof that the universe agreed he wasn't mine. I see Harris sometimes in town. He doesn't acknowledge me either. Paige remarried last year from what I've heard. She looks happy in the pictures. I don't think she even uses my last name anymore.